and do a lot of stuff, more researchers. But in 1981 to 1991, if you look at the GillNet data of all the landings before it was illegal to kill great whites, they killed over 1,200, and I averaged it out, and that's an average of one dead great white every 3 days for 10 years that they killed. But now they magically don't kill anymore. Right? So that's a huge, huge problem with our fishery, and there's a lot of juveniles in this area. This area is Southern California Bight, which is from San Diego here right up to Point Conception. That area there is a nursery for great whites, makos, salmon sharks, and fresher sharks and blue sharks. And it's just been devastating. So, and there was, like I said before, over 300 of those gill nets. And now that they're down to only 17, there's only one reason for that. It wasn't because they were making tons of money and it didn't feel ethical anymore. It's because it was no longer viable. They couldn't make a profit. So they were forced out of business. And that tells you how much is left. Is 17% can still fish. So if you took that and averaged it out, you know, that's less than, I don't know, 7-8%. And they have an 83% bycatch ratio. And the majority of those are all juvenile. And then you listen to those guys and they'll say, oh yeah, most of the sharks are still alive in their gill nets and we release them, they're fine. But anyway, so.
Think of a question. Think of a question. We need a question.
Keith, how long have you been doing the fishing game?
Well, fishing game standard program, I started doing that in, I think, 1993, 94, and they lost their funding, and the state went broke, so they couldn't afford to keep it going, and the feds said they didn't have the budget to do it, so I did it with 100 volunteers, and I did it for a long time until they said they were taking it up again, then I stopped doing it, and then I found out they weren't going to do it, so I started to do it again, and they said, well, we're going to do it, and then I found out they weren't doing it again. So then they said, well, the electronic tagging is so productive that we're not going to do the conventional tags anymore. And what we really need you to give them the sports fishermen. And I go, well, so you want me to pay to appease everyone to keep them off their back. So, but it's very useful, and every bit of the data has been implemented into their plan. They're using every bit of it, and they want it. And I just ordered some more tags because some of the shows I'm filming, they want all that in there too. And I just tagged. It was probably 64, 65 I saw in the last week in the 4 trips I went out, but I only tagged like, I think 25 of it. And it's just the ones that go by the boat, it was free tag. It's really easy to do.
And then, how often do you go out and do them?
You know, they usually don't get here till June 1st, usually is when I'll go out, because my averages are up and all the temperatures moved in and it's stabilized for a while, so they'll be there and they'll be in good numbers and we'll have a good time. We go out and we won't just get a few. But this year, they've been here for over 2 months already. The water's been really warm inside. So they've been going for a long time. They'll last probably through late fall and sometimes into winter, way into winter. So it just depends. But then I go straight over to the salmon sharks. And, you know, there's always something. California, Southern California is a fantastic place for big game. A lot of guys go out and go to a lot of other places, but if you know what you're doing, you do it right, you can have a great time sport fishing big game here. And there's always something here or there. People just don't know. Most guys I don't think look outside the box, so I do it to make it work.
How far up do you go?
The furthest I've gone out on my skipjack is 125 miles for 3 days by myself. And with I've been out here many times on San Lucia Bank and over here, and on my Bertram I took it out. I've only had it a year now, but it's going offshore since last season. And I go out of Marina Del Rey and run 150 miles out and stay for 3 days. So the boat's really fun and really nice.
What kind of Bertram are you?
31 sport fishermen. Yeah. I ran it out of Marina Del Rey, came all the way past all the islands and went here. And with all the shark attacks that have been happening here with the great whites, they want me to go out there and film for 2 weeks this September or October with Jeff Kerr for Discovery. But the thing is, they wanted somebody to take their boat out there, and they were concerned that I would be comfortable going out there because it's such a dangerous area. And I go out there all the time anyways. Right here at Santa Rosa, that's all the way, or not Santa Rosa, San Miguel, right here. This is the largest seal population in the world, pinnipeds. And no one goes there and knows anything about the great whites there because it's in such a remote location. But I'm going to spend a lot of time there this fall. But the first thing I noticed when I went there last December, which was a little bit late, they had left before I got there to do that. And I got the idea to do it because I didn't know that the great whites went there. And one of the ones that we tagged, that the tag fell off of or quit working or whatever, it went there in the middle of winter in January and was hanging out. And they're right over there off Point Deception too, which is something I previously did not know at all. So I decided to start going there and do a little bit more of a survey. The first thing I noticed when I got there is that the chlorophyll was just off the charts, and a lot of species don't like all that in their gill, they just can't it up. But I didn't know what was acceptable levels. And I showed it to all the other researchers when I went out there and asked them if they thought it would be a problem, and they said, yeah, possibly, but it'll be really bad one day and clear the next day because it's such a high turnover current area. So I'm going to try to do a little bit more surveying there and see if we can find them there and have some fun over there. We're going to be doing it up, it's the spot tagging, I believe, at the Farallones in Guadalupe. I don't know if I would like to open up that area. But then Santa Monica Bay and Santa Onofre, we're going to be working with the juveniles too, I understand it. So those permits are all going through the process in Sacramento right now. So that's why I say it's my understanding. So it hasn't come through yet.
You're talking about white sharks, right?
All white sharks, yeah. We're going to be doing a lot of that with researchers from Canada, Japan, and Alaska, and here in Hawaii, and all kinds of stuff. That's a little mako right there. Is that a mako track right there?
Yes, that is, which fish is that? That is, that must be sugar lips.
Sugar lips. See, there's a derivative of the sling system I came up with that they came up with that boat. So that was cool.
They are commercial fishing white sharks.
No. But, you know, I'm sure that they have some sort of yin yang for specialty for white shark, whatever pieces like they do with everything else. So I don't know.
Hey, Keith, on the chlorophyll, is that where you see the water just blue as could be, or really light blue?
Green on the charts, like terrapin. You'll see that it's in the red, that's when it's just like almost red tide, but when it's in the green after 2 or 3%, some species are like that because they want all the fin bait, like salmon sharks. But generally in the larger makos, you only see them in the clear blue water. So that's the chlorophyll. The chlorophyll is the plant life that's in the ocean that is from the sunlight and the nutrients that come out. The phytoplankton from down below, and the oceanography is so complex I don't think I'll ever know anything about it. The more I think I know, the more I realize I don't know. It's beyond complex.
Where that spot is out there. Going to.
Which spot?
That spot out there.
Well, you know what? These fish go into an area where the water will be conducive and comfortable in temperature and clean, and they'll find some life out there. And it won't just be them, though. There's all kinds of different species working together, and they'll be holding down some bait there, because a lot of the bait or prey or whatever it is, the situation may be that they're on. This was a small mako, because all these are small makos, so there's probably sardines or something like that out there, or mackerel, and they'll get on a spool that's being held down by a bunch of sharks, let's say, and they'll hold it there and they won't let it go anywhere. And they'll just keep it boxed in, and they'll just keep controlling it, keep it boxed in. And they take them and push them up a curve break in the thermocline and hold them in there and box them in, the chlorophyll as well. So that's why you generally see them stay in an area work real hard like that. They're usually feeding.
Are the dots time?
What's that?
Are the dots time? What are the dots?
I don't know.
That's when they surface.
It's in transition points.
Okay, setting surface.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's where they broke the surface. Gotcha. Yeah. Exactly. Right. Those had the bolt-on transmitter spot tags, right?
Okay, let's just do one more question, because you had less sleep in 3 days than I had last week, so what a day. So
I just have one.
okay.
Are there any more incidences of, remember when the orca killed that great white?
Not that I'm aware of. And that was so interesting and pretty cool.
Yeah.
I just did the catatonic immobility. Those
Right.
orcas are so smart, and they call them shark killers, LA fly. And why do they kill sharks? Because that's mostly what we have in this area. So they specialize in it, just like other orcas do in other areas, whatever is there. But the deal is that, I don't know if you guys know, but when it killed that great white, all the great whites that hang out at the Fairlawn Islands, they split. They were gone. They took off. They didn't want nothing to do with that. So, because a lot of people always say, well, what happens? You know, does this common with them? Don't all their other great whites fight back? And I go, no, they run for the hills. So, we have clear evidence of that. So we know who the king of the ocean is. So. When I see those orchids, I just leave. Not the 24-foot boat.
Yeah.
We were at the 14 a few days ago, and there was a whale. I don't know how big it was. It was far off, but it was clearing the water by like 8 feet every time it went up. I was just glad I wasn't near it.
Was it an orca?
I don't know. I couldn't tell. It looked like a pilot whale to me, but it was just going way up there. And it wasn't like jumping like this with his head just coming up. I mean, it was going like this, straight up, and going way up and then coming down. And it looked like 4 or 5 times.
There's been some humpback whales spotted out there.
What was it?
There's been some humpback whales.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what it was. I just couldn't imagine something that big to clear the water.
Okay, we're gonna let them